for two. Kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two. Sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this. Multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 375 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at GeoffLambert77. Of course, we're live every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern Time. We're on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, syndicated in all major podcast networks. And now you can find all of our content at goingfor2.live. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. What's up, man?
Oh, not too much. I think we have a nice, clean get on time.
Yeah. Yeah. No issues.
As he runs away. Yeah, no, this is going to be great. Bye.
Everything's good. Ryan is dog sitting and he's having some issues with his dog. So
Jesus Christ. Okay.
All right. Also joining us tonight, he's been on the show multiple times. Mr. Seth Keller. He is quote unquote the data guy over at the Fantasy Football Face Off. You can find him on Twitter at FF the At Home Dad. What's up, Seth?
What's up, Geoff and Ryan? Beautiful day out today. Excited to be on. Talking some foosball. It's a beautiful day, beautiful night. Anytime we get to talk. So thanks for having me on again. And hopefully Ryan doesn't have dog pee all over the carpet by the time we're done with the show.
And I thought I was going to go smooth.
Yeah, you kind of jinxed yourself there. All right, Seth. So you're the quote unquote data guy. What do you do over at Fantasy Football Face Off exactly?
Yeah. So one of the things that we have going on right now that is what I think is like unique that we have a live mock ADP that we have. Shout out to Ryan Miner. He runs the mock drafts all the time. You can jump onto FF Face Off and you can actually adjust the ADP pages. There's a whole data section that you can, or data dashboard that you can say, I want to know pre-draft what ADP looked like. And then I want to compare that to what did the ADP look like a week after the draft versus what does ADP look like right now. It's got a little date slider on it. You can look just at certain positions. And then we run, Ryan runs all the mocks, and he goes and he does, one quarterback, super flex, 2 QB, really hitting it on all those rookie mocks. And pretty soon we'll have a average auction value up as well, so that you can go in and see, prep for your auction values. And what's great about it is that that happens with, again, that's live drafting. Like a lot of ADPs, you'll notice that they'll kind of just cycle through and they'll play against themselves, which is great. It's a great tool, not nothing against it. But because they just cycle through themselves, the ADP gets like hit into this one like spot where it just keeps going again and again. And that person's ADP always stays in that spot because it's based off of, not real people doing the drafts.
Right.
And so what I love about what we do is, we do it all in Sleeper. We pull out all the data, I arrange all that data and get it all posted up on the site for everybody to kind of jump in and play around with. So that's the one that I really love at this time of year. And then I am working on a project that is currently over 101,000 lines, individual lines of weekly fantasy stats.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I want to get that one like ready for, hopefully the start of the season. But it is just right now. It's so large. It's almost taken on a realm of its own. But the plan is really to be able to jump in and say like, hey, what do we know about people that were drafted in the third round? What's going on with running backs drafted in the fourth round that like literally none of them have career success? And so being able to really dive in and look at not only combine stats, but weekly stats. And, one of my big pushes is always to look at median points per game rather than just the average points per game. It takes a little bit more computing power, but it can be way more helpful getting a sense of where the nuance is in a player's game. So the goal is to hit all of that with this massive tool, which almost sounds dirty, but yes, that's the goal. That's what we're aiming for.
I love it. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That is great stuff. And of course, you helped me out with my. We still use it with the sleeper ADP for
Yeah.
Scott Fishbowl mock draft. So that was a huge thing for us last year, and we plan on doing it again this year. So awesome stuff.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Today's show, as always, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their best ball leagues, huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick'ems for all major sports. Use our promo code GF2 and get bonus bucks up to $250. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use promo code GF2, and start drafting. We're doing a bunch of best ball drafts for going for two. So if you haven't checked out my timeline in a while, there's a bunch there that you could probably jump into. I'll be starting a couple of them up here pretty soon. As we go into the Scott Fishbowl era, we're going to have a bunch more that we're going to be kicking off as well, because that's when Twitter sort of explodes with all the fantasy football people. So it's the best time to promote those best ball drafts. So be on the lookout for all of those. Got a great show tonight. We're going to be doing, obviously, our news and notes. We're going to be jumping into the Dynasty hot tub time machine. Basically, we're going to be jumping into the future, and we're going to be looking at some players that we think that their value from this year to next year will increase. So we'll talk about that. Do some listener questions. Of course, always we do the Forgotten Fantasy Player to end the show. But to kick things off, let's do our mock draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right. So today we are drafting. Typically, we try to stick with non-fantasy football related drafts. This one has a sort of a twist to fantasy football, but it is the best fictional athlete you'd want on your fantasy team. And I opened it up to athletes, so you can pick any, if they played basketball in their fictional world, or they played even golf or hockey or whatever, and you want to put them on your fantasy team, we can make that work. I just didn't think there was a big enough pool if we just did football players. So you open up to any athlete you want to. As always, the guest gets to go first. So Seth, you got the 101 here.
Does this have to be so?
It does not. We can do IDP as well if you want.
See, the water boy is the 101 because not only IDP scoring, he can also throw a Hail Mary pass. He's a great blocker. And I think he didn't he even get some running plays in there also.
Yes,
I mean, you have a just Swiss Army knife of a football player with the water boy. Not necessarily the smartest guy on the field, but you can say, go that way, and he's going to take care of business for you. So I'm going with the 101, the water boy. We're playing Iron Man football. He's going to play both ways for us, and he's going to be an absolute stud.
I love it. He was my 101 as well. I was hoping he would sneak through there and not get picked up, but he was.
Good thing that's about defense.
Yeah. All right, so I'm up at the 102, and this particular person, I guess you can call him a person. They're fictional. Is kind of the reason why I opened it up to just beyond football, and it is from the original movie, the Space Jam movie, the Monstar, and his name is Pound. Monstar Pound. He's the real big green one. If you look at all the movie graphics, he's always the one right there in the front. I figured he plays basketball, but as big as he is and athletic as he is, he can probably switch over to play football as well. So I'll take Monstar Pound as my 102 here. Ryan, you're up here at the 103.
I'm going with a true difference maker on offense, and you guys left me a dual threat quarterback who's going to rack up fantasy points. That's Steven Willie Demon.
That's a
He
great
not
choice.
only can run, he can pass. He's dynamic. He raps off the field. He does it all.
Yeah, you stole my quarterback because that's what I was hoping to get here in the second round, but you took my guy. All right, Steph, you're up at the 201 here.
Man, I have two guys that I'm bouncing around. You know what? I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna go Rod Tidwell. He's gonna show me the money. He's gonna make plays for us. We got another wide receiver, works out for us, can play, not afraid to go across the middle, not afraid to get hit going up for the ball. We're going Rod Tidwell.
Nice. I like it. All right, to 202. So Ryan took my my quarterback that I was hoping to get in the second round here. So I'm going to pick another quarterback. He's going to be another transitional player that does not play football in their fictional world. I just got to make sure that he's wearing glasses so that he can see what he's throwing at. And I'm going with Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn from Major League. I figured he can throw a pitch. He can probably throw a football. May have to get used to getting hit, but I think he can pull it off. So I'm going to transition him from baseball into football and make him my quarterback on my team. Ryan, what you got for the 203?
We are mixing the speed, Willie Beam with power in the backfield with zone read option. And bring out fullback Tim Riggins from Friday Night Lights show. He just runs forward, runs through. Yeah, he might show up to practice drunk, but he gets done on game day.
Nice.
I might have to draft a coach to keep these guys in line, but you know what?
So you got
I like the talent.
some troublemakers. Yeah, you got some off the field issues on some of those guys. All right, Seth, your last pick here at the 301.
All right. Okay. I like playing by my own rules. So we're gonna go to the movie Necessary Roughness, and we're gonna go. Man, can I just take the cast from Necessary Roughness, because I definitely want Kathy Ireland on the team. Just because you had Sinbad on the team, you had Scott Bakula playing quarterback, and I was trying to look for the guy's name, but the dude that does the karate and takes out the entire team, and the referee does the whole scene where he's like, Judokan elbow, 15 yards, Harateke kick, 15 yards, and he has like this whole like scene of like trying to do like all the kung fu moves. I feel like as guests, I'm just gonna take all of the Unnecessary Roughness cast and work them in a deep bench.
Fair enough. We will allow it. There's no rules on these drafts, so I love it. All right. So my last pick here, and I'm gonna give a shout out to the Doc, who was our guest last week. He actually used this movie quote that I'm gonna, and then take the character from that movie. It's an old '80s movie. I'm taking Michael J. Fox's character from Teen Wolf. I know he played basketball in that movie, but I have a feeling that if you're a werewolf, you could probably play football too. So I'm taking the Teen Wolf. I think it's Scott Howard was his name in the movie. Which, if I said Scott Howard, no one would know who that is. So Michael J. Fox from Teen Wolf is who I'm taking here at 302.
I mean, you've built a great basketball team.
I did.
Right.
I don't know about football.
Yeah, we'll see how things go.
Jamie came in clutch.
Oh yeah,
you got to put that quote up there. Yeah. Oh man, I don't know how I missed that one.
Yeah, that's a great call. Al Bundy scoring 4 touchdowns in the game.
Yep. Good old
Brian. You still got a pick here. So are you going Al Bundy, or you got somebody else queued up here?
I'm not going to steal Jamie's guy, but I'm sticking with my little bit off-field issues here. The guy may have also shown up to practice drunk, stole a cop car. I'm going with Tweeter from Varsity Blues to be my wide receiver one on the outside.
Nice.
Like it.
I think Ryan. I think all your people are actually human, right? I think
All
most
human
of them are truly fictional.
and all actual football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Mine are like, what's his name? Wild Thing. He was an actual human, but the other guys that I have are a werewolf and a cartoon character. So I went
Yeah.
completely fictional.
So real quick, my kids are playing baseball now with like kid pitch. 'Cause they're 8, and my one son rocks a mohawk, and I'm like, buddy, we gotta shave the Wild Thing into the back of the neck, and he's not on board with it yet, but I think we're close.
Getting
I
there.
was like, if you want to be a great pitcher, like we're gonna have to watch clips of the movie, not all of it because that's not necessarily appropriate for an 8-year-old, but we're gonna watch clips of the movie and be like, listen, man, if you want to pitch like Wild Thing, you gotta get the haircut.
There you go. I love it. Gerson says
Watch the TNT
Uncle
version.
Rico.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into some news and notes here.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, slow time of period for news and notes. So I'm like pulling things that are kind of just guys we can talk about in general. The first one here that I got, Ryan, T. Higgins, not going to be there for OTAs, essentially holding out, not signing the franchise tender. How worried are you if you're a T. Higgins owner right now?
I mean, I'm not shocked about it, but I think they'll figure something out. He's either going to get moved. They're not going to let him sit. He's going to get moved. Or he's going to sign something. Like,
Yeah,
it's too much money, even if he signs the franchise tag. It's too much money to turn down for 1 year and not playing.
agreed.
He'll play. You know, if he gets moved, that could be a good thing.
Is there a buy window, you think, Seth, for T. Higgins right now with this news? You think you can get him on the cheap?
I don't think so, because as Ryan was just mentioning that, I was thinking like there's no way I'm moving T. Higgins at this point though. Like if I'm the T. Higgins owner, I'm not scared about this to the point of I'm looking to sell him. So from the other angle of that, yeah, I might throw some feelers out and try and get him, but I don't think you're going to get a buy window, and chances are you're probably just going to end up pissing off the person you're sending the offer to, because you're sending a low ball offer for T. Higgins, and it's a very veiled attempt, and it's most likely going to be a net loss for you as a manager than actually acquiring T. Higgins. I don't think anybody's selling him on the cheap right now.
Fair enough. Do you think there's any place he can go? Like, not necessarily need a team, but any place he can go where his value could be more than it is now in the offense that he's in?
Not realistically. I mean, if he ends up with the Chiefs, like, yeah, that'd be a boost. Anybody playing with Mahomes gets a little bit of a boost. There was hope out of Bills, some Bills friends that I have still, that he would go to the Bills. Like, it's not something that I would expect. I think it's mostly going to be him coming back with the Bengals on some kind of deal, and it's probably not going to be the greatest of situations for him. But I think he's going to stay with the Bengals at least for this year, and then who knows what'll happen.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll go to this next one here, and we hear this a lot in the offseason, Ryan. So and so, insert player name has dropped weight to, improve their flexibility or their speed. Najee Harris is the latest one on that list, dropping weight going into a contract season. Do you think this is a good idea for Najee to drop some weight for the offseason?
I mean, a couple pounds, fine, but like he's a power rusher. He's supposed to run north south. Maybe instead of losing weight, learn how to run north south and run through people and go through initiate contact. But I'm not that excited about it either way.
Yeah, it doesn't really move the needle for me much either. I don't know if Najee Harris was really one that we were worried about his weight necessarily. And you look at the weight that he dropped, 7 pounds. Is it really? It's from 242 to 235. Is that really going to make that much of a difference? I don't know. Maybe it will. What are your thoughts, Seth, on this Najee Harris news?
I think this is the news cycle where there's not much news, So we need to make news out of something. And Najee Harris losing 7 pounds, there it is. It doesn't move the needle much for me. Now, if we start seeing in OTA's training camp preseason that he looks more fluid, that he looks like he's breaking tackles more because he's able, he gained more, more flexibility through his hips or through his ankles, that he can make better cuts and things like that. Yeah, cool, awesome. Way to go, Najee. Otherwise, this doesn't do much for me.
Agreed. I'm with you 100%. This last one, Ryan, is another second-year wide receiver that teams comes out and says nice things about him and hopes that he can kind of break out. But Quentin Johnson obviously had a horrible rookie season, didn't do a whole lot, even though he got the opportunities to do well. The team's expecting a second-year breakout, which is kind of like saying we're expecting you to do what we drafted you to do. So I don't know how that really helps him too much, but do you think there's anything to this? Do you think he has an opportunity this season to have a breakout season?
So let's be optimistic for a change, because I feel like we shit on Quentin Johnson a lot,
We do.
just as a community. Yes, he has major catching issues. And 5 years ago, we talked about third-year breakout with wide receivers all the time. Now we expect them, since Justin Jefferson blew up on the scene, to be great right away. He has the opportunity. He's going to be starting on the outside. I mean, my ceiling, wide receiver 1 or could be, but I think you could get that wide receiver 3 value out of him. Wide receiver 2, maybe off of touchdowns if need be. It's going to be a high volume offense where they're throwing the ball a lot. Well, maybe not Harbaugh there, but he's going to be the outside, man. He's going to be starting. There's an opportunity for touchdowns with his size. So there is possibility. I'm not like breaking the bank on it. I'll take him on the cheap as a throw in on somebody who's given up. But I'm not like, there's still a possibility. We're not talking about a dude who's 27 breaking out.
Yeah, he's still young. He's only in his second year. What are your thoughts on Quentin Johnston, Seth?
I'm pretty similar to Ryan there. I think yes, it's only his second year. His first year wasn't phenomenal. I have to go back and check some of my database stuff, but there's some stuff where it's like if a rookie doesn't hit certain thresholds, then even like that 2-3 year, unless they're Devontae Parker and hit a 5th-year breakout, it's really unlikely that they're going to be able to hit any type of sustained fantasy production. I have to go back through and check him specifically to see where he falls on that. But the reason I would say with Quentin Johnson right now is you don't have a loaded Chargers wide receiver room. Like they drafted Ladd McConkey. Rookie hype is going to again be through the roof. And it's probably the same people that were hurt by rookie hype with Quentin Johnson through the roof that are going to be hurt with some Ladd McConkey there. And then Joshua Palmer, like maybe DJ Shark, maybe you want to include him to like load the room there. Like there's not a ton of passing options there where Quentin Johnson should again get the volume of opportunity to be successful. Whether or not he's able to take advantage of it, that's going to be the reason why we watch football.
Yep, absolutely. And we talked about it on the last show with the doc. He had a quote similar to, talent is great, but opportunity is better. And, if you get the opportunity, sometimes you can be fantasy relevant. And if he's in that offense that's going to be high powered, he's going to get the chance to at least do a few things. So, yeah, there is the potential he could break out for sure.
I mean, you're playing Justin Herbert. Can't be that bad.
Right. Yeah. 100%. All right. That's it for the news and notes. Tonight, we were going to jump into the.
Must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
Hot tub time machine. We're going to go in the Dynasty hot tub time machine, and we are going to travel a year from today, and we're going to be looking at a couple players that we think could increase their value from where they're being valued at now. We're using the rankings from DLF, Dynasty League Football, to do this. And the first question I have for you, Seth, name a running back currently outside the top 12 that by this time next year will be in the top 12? Who do you have as your guy?
So I feel like it's a little bit of cheating, but that's okay. I went with a rookie, and rookies have the most opportunity to really improve value because they're not most rookies. Even running backs aren't going to be, skyrocketed into that top 12 right away unless there's some kind of first round darling running back, which we have seen a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and go not with Jonathan Brooks, the rookie, but I'm going to go with Trey Benson. I think the Cardinals are in a spot where even if they're not that successful of a team, they're still going to be a fantasy producing team. Hopefully Kyler Murray is healthy. Whether or not you think he's overrated or not, he's definitely better than what the kind of Cardinals were playing with the entirety of last year. You have the number one wide receiver now on the team with Marvin Harrison Jr., number one rookie wide receiver on the team. The team has a lot more going for it. And I do believe Connor is going to be the guy, but Benson's going to get enough work that he's going to keep rising. And with Connor getting older, all it takes is an injury, some kind of contract dispute, a trade, something like that happens either late in the season or early in the off season next year. And now Trey Benson jumps into that. He's now going to be the number one option on a good offense that's going to be able to score fantasy points. And so I'm going to go with Benson.
Yeah, I like Benson a lot. And Benson could even show just a little bit this year. Mm-hmm. And then if Connor is not there next year, that could vault him into the top 12 just based on the expectations that he could be something big. But he can pull a Tony Pollard-esque type rise where we saw enough of him that we get excited that once he gets the full backfield to himself, he gets pushed into that top 12. So, yeah, I like Trey Benson a lot.
And I'm just pulling up Connor's contract now. I think he has it out. Yeah, so he's a UDFA in 2025.
There you go.
UFA in 2025. So next year could be Benson's backfield and right up into the higher ranks.
Agreed. All right, Ryan, you have a guy sort of on the opposite spectrum. He kind of just missed the top 12 here, but is a guy that's been really performing, over the last couple of years. Who do you got?
He did, and I almost thought about trying to change it last minute. But just seeing running best balls and seeing where he's going in drafts, I'm going with Isaiah Pacheco. And I think we're going to see a big jump. He only had 860 rushing yards while it was efficient last year. It was still could have been better. He split some carries, but the team showed their confidence in him where they didn't go out and get anybody, which is a huge thing. With Clyde Edwards-Helaire there, that's it. You're fine. But the thing that I really like is teams were playing up farther in the box in Kansas City, and we've seen in the past because they didn't have those elite deep threats to kind of back people off the running back. Now we had Hollywood Brown and where are they? And now teams gonna be terrified to take the top off them taking the top off the defense. It's gonna live big gashing rushing lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And he, like I said, he's just outside. I think he was 14 or 15 in the rankings that I put up. He could definitely sneak into that top 12 for sure with a good season. And surprisingly, coming into this past season, the big knock was he didn't catch passes, but this season he was like the main pass catcher out of that backfield. Jacob McKinnon was not to be found anywhere. So he kind of proved us wrong in that sense where he was actually a good pass catcher out of the backfield as well. So yeah, Pacheco's a great choice.
Yeah, 44 catches on 49 targets. Not bad.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah.
All right. So my guy from weeks 15 through week 18 last year, when he finally got the backfield to himself due to an injury, was actually the RB9 in fantasy. Averaged 4.7 yards per carry. He had one touchdown in that sense. And we don't think of him as a pass catcher, but he had 13 targets. I'm talking about Mr. Zamir White. I know he's been a popular sort of pickup this offseason. I know it was funny because before the draft, I was trying to sell him thinking that the Raiders would try to pick up a running back in the draft, and nobody wanted to touch Zamir White because they all expected the Raiders to draft somebody. And then after the draft is done and they didn't draft anybody for running back, all of a sudden I'm getting all kinds of offers for Zamir White. Everybody wants him now. That backfield is his by all means. And if he can, I know it's a small sample size of only 4 games, but if he can kind of keep that same pace with a coach that wants to run the ball. I mean, he said it last year, even with Jacobs, that he wants to run the ball, pound the ball, play good defense. Zamir White is the perfect running back. He's sort of a Derrick Henry-esque type running back. He's not quite Derrick Henry, but he has that sort of ability. He's a bigger guy. So they call him Zeus for a reason. So Zamir White is my guy that I think could vault into the top 12 next year.
Does Alexander Madison being there do anything to your Zamir White hype?
It does not.
No.
I am not scared of Alexander. Madison had his opportunity last year, and he just did not show me anything. He's one of those guys that had the opportunity and just did nothing with it. So
I could see Alexander Madison kind of being like Pollard, though, where like as the main guy, they're gonna be unsuccessful, but as the number 2, they can find success because they're being put in situations where the defense is already backed off to stop a pass. So even a bad draw play picks up 9 yards, you still have to punt the ball because you're at 3,
right.
3rd and 12, but you're getting all these extra yards. You're getting a little dump pass. I could see that kind of being the case here, but I was just wondering where Madison coming in lands with you.
Yeah, well, Jamie's here to point out that I was on Madison last year, essentially for opportunity, which he ended up getting. He got the opportunity. He had plenty of volume, and he did absolutely nothing with it. So thanks, Jamie, for pointing that one out. That I got that one wrong last year. All right, let's flip it over to the quarterbacks. No, let's do receiver. Sorry. Wide receivers currently outside the top 12 that by this time next year will be in the top 12. And Ryan, why don't you go first this time?
I want to preface that getting in the top 12 wide receiver is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at it, you're like, who are they going to knock out?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say Flowers here. It's kind of a little bit deeper because I think it's going to be harder for him. But the way he ended the season, even in the playoff game, which he had the most boneheaded play ever, we kind of forget lost in that he went for over 100 yards, 115 yards and touchdown and played very well. He ended the season with 200 out of his last 4 games, 200-yard games, a 72-yard game, and a 40-yard game. Like he was producing and getting more and more heavily involved in that offense. And I think the longer he's with Lamar, their relationship, I think it gets very, very good for them.
Yeah, I love Zay Flowers as well. He was my guy last year. This year, my guy was Keenan Coleman in the draft. Last year, it was Zay Flowers. I was on him super early in the draft process. I didn't love his landing spot, but he ended up being pretty good last year with the Ravens. I still drafted him everywhere that I could. I stuck with the talent, and he really proved himself last year. So I can see Zay Flowers sort of sneaking into the bottom of that top 12 there. Good call.
He might be the first top 12 fantasy wide receiver for the Ravens.
Yeah, you're probably
Steve
right.
Smith might have been there. I'm trying to think off the top of it. There's a chance.
Yeah,
he has the best potential.
For the Ravens. Yep. All right, Seth, you got a guy that I personally already have in my top 12, but DLF has him just outside the top 12. But this guy, I love him a lot. People kind of knocked him down a little bit because of the quarterback that might be, the rookie second-year quarterback that be kind of playing there. But talk about your guy a little bit.
Yeah, no, I went with Michael Pittman. I'm right there with you. He's right in that like back end of the top 12, start of the next 12 for me. And I think, when you're looking at guys like Malik Neighbors that are up there, like I'd be more comfortable moving Neighbors down a little bit and being a little bit wrong on him and moving Pittman up. I think that Pittman has really solidified himself as the dude in Indianapolis. Now you have, Anthony Richardson. Even if he does run more, he's still going to have to feature a wide receiver. And it's not going to be, as much as some people like, it's not going to be Josh Downs. It's not going to be, you know, maybe 80 Mitchell, maybe, but like even that, like Pittman to me is your quintessential like wide receiver that moves the ball. You know, not as good as Keenan Allen behind me, but he is that type of wide receiver to me where you're going to be able to move the ball because of him. And that's just going to get him to that 100+ targets, probably 125 targets, should put him over the 100 reception mark, and well into that 1,000-yard receiving mark. And it now comes down to, can he get into the end zone? Can the Colts get into the end zone enough to be able to push him up there?
Yeah, good call. I love Pittman. Gerson's got a really good one that I wanted to mention. I actually almost put him on my list. Drake London is another one that's a pretty popular choice, obviously with Kirk Cousins now. You know, he's sneaking in the bottom of that top 12 in some people's rankings already. Currently on the sheet that we're using, he's ranked as the wide receiver 15, so just outside the top 12. My guy,
DLF has him as 11
as 11. Okay,
for ADP.
so he's
Yeah.
Can you sell me? Can you sell me on Drake London, real quick? Sell me on Drake London.
Ryan, you want to go first, and then I'll pivot off of you.
He's strong wide receiver, can win above the rim, has deep ball ability, can win over the top, good boxing out of the red zone, solid hands. Basically, he can do. I think he's a little bit more athletic version of what Pittman can do. But now he has a quarterback who force feed. The big reason I like him for this year specifically in this point is Kirk Cousins always force feeds essentially the wide receiver one and the tight end ball.
That's what I was going to say. If you look at Kirk Cousins, I actually did a little research on Kirk Cousins to see if you look at his history, even going back to Washington, his guy gets targeted relentlessly. And I think Drake London is a big enough guy that he's going to win most of those opportunities. That Kirk Cousins can be completely off target, and London's still going to catch most of those. So the relentless targeting is what I really like. You go back and look at even Justin Jefferson, obviously his rookie season. Once he got into the field, it was like he was just throwing him the ball. He doesn't care if he was covered or not. He's getting the ball, and I think Drake London can succeed with that.
Yeah, and that's part of my thing is like even if it's a bad ball, like he got plenty of bad balls. He only caught 69 of 110 targets last year. He caught 72 of 117 the year before that, and he has 6 touchdowns total. Like I think Kirk Cousins is gonna bump those numbers up some, but like Jamie just posted in there, went 205 in a best ball draft. Like I get why people want to buy into it, and here's to still hoping that the 3-year breakout is a thing. He's like one of these players where I'm more comfortable being wrong on him than I feel like I would. I feel like I would be upset missing out on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
The other thing with him, his age, even though it'll be 3rd year, he's still only 22.
22. Yeah.
Yeah, he is a young star. I mean, when you're a year older than Marvin Harrison coming in right now, like as a young player with NFL experience.
Good point.
I mean, it's still got to be done on the field though. And if you're taking him in the 2nd round in best ball, you're expecting him to be like a top 12 wide receiver. Yep. If you're putting him in Dynasty, you're expecting to have at least over the next few years top 12 output and potentially and hopefully top 6 output if you're putting them in the top 12 at Dynasty over the next few years. It just seems like one of those things where the outcomes are there's more outcomes where he fails to live up to those expectations than him actually hitting those. And that's just the way that I see it. And it's just, he's been one of these guys. And I don't know if it's just me being who I am and contrarian and playing devil's advocate all the time. Like it just seems like everybody loves him. And as soon as everybody loves him, I go, I don't know. There's something about him I can't love. And it gets difficult. And like I said, he's one of those guys I feel more comfortable being wrong on than upset about missing out on. And I think that's I think that's a helpful thing to recognize in your own, fantasy perspective and drawing and stuff. And I agree with the comments you got coming in about Ritter and Arthur Smith. Yes, I agree. Those are bad, but also he was getting plenty of opportunity without production. Yeah. And so now is the new coaching quarterback now going to turn all of that around? Maybe, hopefully, for everybody that's taken them in 205 or in the top 12 in Dynasty, hopefully for them, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure now.
So the guy that I have listed here has a very, the price right now is expensive. It's expensive to take that chance. Like I agree 100%. Now, a year from now, if he does what everybody thinks he's going to do this year, then definitely next year at this time, he's top 12, I believe. So my guy has a very similar, narrative as Drake London. Mr. George Pickens, has not had a quarterback really his first couple seasons. He now has, we think, a decent enough quarterback in Russell Wilson. And then if Justin Fields gets on the field, he's made some guys, a top receiving option as well. So George Pickens, I think, has every opportunity in this offense that we've seen in the past create good receivers. And I don't think we've ever doubted his talent. It's just the opportunity he has not had. Deontay Johnson was a target hog that is now gone. George Pickens is now the unquestioned number one there. And I think it's wheels up for George Pickens this year. I think this is the year he again is a third year potential breakout. Yep. And I think Pickens is one of the guys that I think can do it. And at this point next year, people are going to value him, in that range if he can pull it off what we expect him to do this year. So. All right, let's do the quarterbacks here. This one was tough for me because similar to what Ryan said about the receivers, I think quarterbacks are probably even tougher because there's guys that are just locked in top 12 quarterbacks pretty much every season. Yeah. But yeah, give me a guy that's currently outside the top 12, Ryan, that you think next year will be in the top 12.
I'm going with that bounce back for Trevor Lawrence. I think last year was kind of for that. And last year he was beat up. He had 3 injuries throughout the season. He struggled a little with Christian Kirk out, but we have some new weapons with Brian Thomas in there who gives just an electric outside, big target for him. Gabe Davis, while he's not the best, still a good deep ball threat. He has Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk. He has Etienne, who's a good pass catcher. Every piece is there. And it's just him getting healthy and playing up to his potential because we've seen him do everything you want out of quarterback. It's just, like I said, he was beat up last year.
Yeah.
This year, he was that 1 overall pick for a reason in the NFL. We saw him. He was going top 5 in Dynasty for a reason. He was talented. It was just an off year.
Yeah. And I think the Christian Kirk injury hurt him more than we even know, because I think if you saw their chemistry, even when they had a fully healthy offense and they had their new shining toy of Calvin Ridley and Evan Ingram was doing his thing, Christian Kirk was still the best receiver on that team, believe it or not. Through those couple of weeks that he was there, he was getting targeted relentlessly. I know because I owned him in Dynasty, and I was loving all the points he was getting. And then once he got hurt, it became a different offense. Things didn't look quite as well. So Christian Kirk was a big piece of that, and he's fully healthy now as well. So yeah, good call. Seth, I gotta say, yours surprised me here. You dug deeper than I thought. I like yours a lot, though. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on your guy.
Yeah. So I went with a rookie. And what's funny, Geoff, is your guy was a guy that I was contemplating as well. And actually our guys are back to back at 20 and 21. I'm going with the rookie JJ McCarthy. And I think it's going to be one of these things where he has the playmakers around him right now with obviously Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Hawkinson. Like there's playmakers out there for him to throw the ball to. I think in order for him to crack a dynasty top 12, all he has to do is show enough for people to start speculating about what he'll be over the next 3 or 4 years. And that's enough, I feel like, for him to just barely eke into like that 12th spot, assuming that some of the older guys might be kind of falling down a little bit. And really, like, the top 12 is pretty young guys. So it'd be more so about people being let down on certain people, like Caleb Williams, because the expectations are so high right now. It's not the level of play that's going to knock him down in rankings. It's the fact that if he doesn't live up to people's expectations, then he's going to get knocked down in rankings,
Right.
because of the expectation, because of the perception, not necessarily because of his play on the field. And so I could see that being an opportunity for one of those top 12 guys to drop out. Same thing with like Anthony Richardson. Even though I love Pittman, I think, if Richardson doesn't turn things completely up this year, he's going to fall out of that top 12 because people are going to be upset with him not reaching their expectations for him. And I think JJ, all he needs to do is, because the expectations are so low, you can exceed those expectations, and now people start going, oh, well, now in year 2, he's got more under his belt. He could do more, not necessarily saying he's going to outperform all these guys, but because of the way that rankings kind of come about, I could see JJ just hitting that like number 12 mark, not putting him like top 3. Don't do that. Not saying that, but like right at that 12 mark, I could see him hitting, just because he has the guys that will make plays for him. And I think he has the arm talent to be able to make to get them the ball without needing to do anything phenomenal. He doesn't need to make Pat Mahomes type of plays. He doesn't need to make, Josh Allen type of runs. He can just play a smart game. Yeah, he could,
Brock Purdy.
yes, he could be Brock Purdy, and he would fly up the rankings charts because nobody's expecting that from him.
Yep, agreed. I like that call a lot. All right, so the guy that you were kind of alluding to earlier about him being back to back with this guy was he was all the rage last year. He was the number 1 overall rookie quarterback last year. He has been outshone by the number 2 quarterback last year, C.J. Stroud, who is in the top 12 in Dynasty right now. And people have all forgotten about Bryce Young. They've all given up on him after 1 year, a terrible year with terrible pieces around him. He was not set up to succeed. And just nothing happened. This year they go out and get Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. They go out and get Xavier Leggett, a great, exciting receiver in the draft. They get a great young running back in Jonathan Brooks in the backfield. He's got a lot more pieces. And I do think Bryce Young has a pretty decent bounce back season to put him back in track to be that receiver, or that running back, that quarterback that we thought he was last year. And he sneaks into the bottom of the top 12 next year if he can do that. So I think wheels are up for Mr. Bryce Young this year. So he's my choice for a guy that can sneak into that top 12.
Yeah, and just think where Bryce Young was in rankings last year. He was right around where Caleb Williams' rankings are right now, and then plummeted all the way to 20.
Yep.
Right. Imagine now Caleb Williams with the weapons he has around him. If he doesn't have some kind of absolutely phenomenal rookie year, he's going to drop
out.
Completely out. He might drop even further because people are going to be so disgruntled about the fact that he couldn't do it with all like the 3 best wide receivers. Like I've seen those tweets going around, the best trio out there, like that. There's so much expectation for Caleb Williams right now. If he doesn't have like a 5,000 yard passing season, people are going to be disappointed. And that's just a slightly unfair expectation, I feel.
Yep. Agreed. Especially after the year that Stroud just had. People just associate if he can do it, then of course Caleb Williams can do it. He's got all these weapons, and they get held to that standard, unfortunately.
Yep.
All right, let's close out this segment, our Dynasty Hot Tub Time Machine. We're just going to do a couple of these players because we're running up against the clock here. But give me a player, Ryan, outside of the top 200 that you're trying to acquire now because you think their value at this time next year will be much higher.
I'm taking Malachi Corley for the Jets. They're second round pick this year. I think outside of Garrett Wilson, they have a few problems on there, but he's a great runner for catch size. He's that 5'11", 215, essentially running back out of the wide receiver position, who they can just get the ball in space and let him go. Uh, with what they have and on that offense, it should free up a lot of space for him. If he's living underneath, he could be heavy target and run after the catch, kind of how Rodgers used to go to Randall Cobb a lot when he had that wide receiver one and Jordy Nelson. This could be their, uh, you know, junior varsity version of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Malachi Corey, and you can get him pretty cheap in all your rookie drafts too. So yeah, he's a great call. Seth, give me one of your guys.
Yeah, so I want to preface this with like when we hit that 200 mark in the rankings, like at 200, you're looking at the tight end 24, the QB 29, the RB 61, the wide receiver 89. Like what you're looking for in these guys are one, not breaking the bank on any of them. You don't have to go out and like make sure you get them. These are all guys that are these are all guys that you're getting, in my philosophy of it, you're getting that are young in their first or second year. They have a possibility for a long career ahead of them, and there's uncertainty in the positions around them, right? And so I again broke the rules because that's what I do. And I didn't just say one person; I said two, and it's the two backup running backs for the New York Giants. It's Eric Gray and Tyrone Tracy. First and second year guys. Singletary is a very average back, a real not workhorse, but a real like work pal type of guy. He comes in, he does his work, he does what's expected of him, but he doesn't give you much more. If Eric Gray or Tracy can come in and get anything else, and Tracy being a converted wide receiver, there's always that like, oh my goodness, maybe in PPR he turns into this, ridiculous receiving back. That's the type of guy that I'm looking for here because that now, catapults him up into a different category versus, RB 61, where these guys are, outside of the top 60 RBs.
Gerson was asking in the chat what the question was, and I'll repeat it. So we are naming guys outside the top 200, and Seth just went through some of the names on that list that we're digging deep here. We're looking for a guy that's a throw in on a trade. You're not going to go out and acquire this guy directly. We'll throw in so and so, and we can make this trade work. It's kind of like one of those. And then you just hope he pops off and does something for you, even if that something is covering for a couple games here and there just to fill as a spot starter, just something you can get for basically for free. So my guy, and the way I kind of look at some of these guys is I look at the depth charts, and I play a lot of daily fantasy in the preseason, and that's the one way you look at in the preseason is looking at the depth chart. Like, who do they have? Do they have a shallow depth chart? Chances are in the preseason they're not playing their starters, so you want guys that are just going to be on the field because literally there's nobody else to put on the field in preseason DFS. And the guy that I chose is the backup running back on a roster that has an all-star, all-pro running back in front of him, but behind him is a who's who of who's that. So I'm talking about Evan Hull for the Colts. Of course, he's got Jonathan Taylor in front of him, but behind him, he got guys Tyler Goodson, Trey Sermon, Xavier Scott, Trent Penix. I think Trey Sermon is the only name on there that anybody would really recognize him because he was a bust, and he's been on 3 different teams in 3 years. So Evan Hull has the opportunity to sit behind Jonathan Taylor. If, God forbid, Jonathan Taylor was to get hurt, he would be the starter in that offense. We've seen, the backup running backs in that offense do well in the past. Zach Moss did it last year. I think even with Taylor being there, Hull's going to have a role because they don't want to run Taylor into the ground. So Evan Hull really has not been talked about at all in anywhere that I've seen, and being one injury away from being a starting running back on a team that wants to run the ball seems like he should be worth a lot more than whatever running back he is, RB 96 or whatever he is now. So Evan Hall, I like him a lot. I know one of our hosts of one of our shows on Going for Two had Evan Hall ranked really high in his rookie rankings last year. Cal Senra, if he's listening to the show, he really liked Evan Hall last year. So Evan Hall being one injury away, sure, I'll take a flyer on him. He can get the opportunity for sure. So that's one of my guys outside the 200. Let's do one more, Seth.
Yeah. So similar type of situation, looking at the depth chart, not a whole lot there. I went with one of my personal favorite names of the NFL this year, outside of Kool-Aid, is Bub Means for the New Orleans Saints. Again, not a whole lot there on the depth chart behind Chris Olave. He's a good wide receiver, big body, can play on the outside. Kenny, steal targets away from Rashid Shaheed, maybe, possibly. Can he work his way into the wide receiver 3? Does an injury work him in? There are all ways that he can get into your lineup by sneaking into this Saints lineup.
Yeah, I love it. And when I saw that name on the list there, I mentioned this pre-show. I thought you were joking. I didn't know that was an actual player that got drafted. He wasn't even undrafted. He went drafted. I didn't know his name. So yeah, good pull on that one. He's definitely in the bottom 200 for sure.
Yeah.
Ryan, you got one more?
I do. I was gonna shop the other one out just because it's for the exact same reasons as Bob Means was he made A.T. Perry, but we're gonna skip over that.
Mhm.
And I'm going with Jalen Hyatt. I think the opportunity is there for the Giants. I know Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, but Malik Neighbors is going to be the wide receiver 1 now. He brings something that the other end. Hyatt brings something that the other receivers there don't bring, a legit deep threat to that offense. If they can get that going at all, worst case scenario, he's a solid late best ball guy who can win you some weeks. I think he can up and win his way out of that 200 wild though.
Yep, I like Jalen Hyatt. He's someone I've been looking to buy in some of my deals as well. Yeah, I think he's being overlooked.
Random fun fact: my buddy moved into Jalen Hyatt's apartment in Hoboken.
Really?
And we know because he got his mail still sent to the house afterwards, to the apartment afterwards. So I think it's one of those fun, small New York City outskirts type of thing that my buddy lives in Hyatt's house, Hyatt's apartment.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, I'll close it out here with. So I mentioned earlier about looking at the depth chart on guys that can be one injury away from starting. Well, this guy is actually listed as a starter on a pretty explosive offense with another receiver that's the number 1 receiver probably in Dynasty right now. And my guy is Jalen Tolbert, listed on the outside as a Cowboys starting receiver. Michael Gallup is no longer there. Those balls have to go somewhere, right? I mean, Lamb got targeted relentlessly last year. I'm sure he will again this year, but there has to be a second receiver in that offense. That I know they got Brandon Cooks there, but he's getting older. Had a down year last year. Jalen Tolbert had a little bit of hype coming into the league. Didn't do a whole lot his rookie season. Didn't do a whole lot, in his career at all. Has the opportunity now to play a lot of snaps in a very high-powered offense, and hopefully he can take advantage of it. But again, another guy that you can get super, super cheap, practically free. You might even be on the waiver wire in some shallower dynasty leagues. Add him. What's it going to hurt at this point? He's a starting receiver for the Cowboys with a decent quarterback. So why not? All right. We're going to cut the listener questions tonight, so I apologize. We will probably get to them maybe next week. So if you had a question in the listener question section, I apologize. But we're going to go ahead and jump right into our Forgotten Fantasy Player.
Get ready for goingfor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
So before Seth gives us his, I've mentioned this on the show before, but we've been doing these now for a little while. And there is one Forgotten Fantasy Player that I got on one hint, and that was Seth's guy when he mentioned that in the offseason everyone blew their fab on him, and it was Tyson Williams, the Ravens running back. The year that J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both got injured, everyone blew their fab on him, and that for some reason stuck out to me. That was the one hint. So hopefully I can get this one on one hint as well, Seth. What you got?
That was because we were all so traumatized, and also I broke the rules and didn't do a player that was retired. All right, so first hint, and see, I'm gonna make it so you don't get it on the first try here, Geoff. First hint, right there, Cowboys.
All right, so we got the team.
Marion Barber.
You son of a how?
Seriously?
How?
There's no way.
There's no way.
Marion Barber the third.
That is awesome, and with the setup too.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm leaving. That's
that definitely tops mine. That tops mine.
wow.
Wow, that was impressive, Ryan.
Yep.
Seth got the one hit.
I just as I was thinking about it, because what's funny is watching with my wife back in the days, she would she was like, oh, look at, like, he just runs angry, like he runs crazy, and it's like, yeah, like the Cowboys need that running back, like you have to have that type of running back, and we're literally just talking about it the other day, and I just realized that he actually has passed at the age of 38 too. Wow. Like so
so give us some hints that you had. Just
was his first game like a 200-yard game or something?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was first game was 200, but he definitely he was a top 12 running back. Let's see. He had over 5,000 career yards, 53 touchdowns. Actually, he may have.
Pull up the game out there and see what we got. And wasn't his nickname was like Marion the Barbarian or something?
Marion the Barbarian. That was going to be one of the hints in there. Where's the fantasy one? Yeah, he finished as the running back 7 in 2007. He had a stretch of 4 years where he was RB13, RB7, RB17, and RB21.
Yeah, and he was a beast. He did run angry. He ran. Oh, yeah. He was a physical guy. I loved watching him play, even though I hated the Cowboys, but he was an awesome player.
Yeah, no,
I didn't know he passed. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just saw that as I was like looking it up. I was like, all right, this time I'm actually gonna pick a player that's retired from the league. But yeah, good work, Ryan. Next time you guys need your confidence boosted, just bring me back in.
Bring you on the show.
You guys will just hit it in the first try once again.
That's awesome. All right, well, that wraps the show up, Seth. We'll go around the horn here and just give us your Twitter handle, plug what you're working on, and anything else you want to mention. We'll go to you first, Seth.
Yep. Thanks for having me on, guys. Really appreciate it. My name is Seth Keller. You can find me on Twitter at FF the At Home Dad. And very important, because it is Mental Health Month, the FF Face Off Mental Health Podathon will be taking place. It's the 5th year, happening in the summertime. We're just finalizing, I'm not part of it, but Anthony and Mike, who run the podcast, are just finalizing the date. It'll probably be sometime after the FF Expo. So keep an eye out for that. It's a phenomenal cause. And something that, really, really enjoy doing each and every year.
Yeah, those guys do a great job with that. Absolutely. Ryan, what you got going on?
I'm here Wednesday night to see me one hit the Forgotten Fantasy player. That's all I got.
That's all I do now. I'm going to put it in the bio.
Just drop the mic. You're done. Walk off set. All right, Seth. Yeah, once again, thank you for coming on, man. I always love having you on the show. And obviously we'll probably get you on, when we get towards the redraft season, we'll get you back on and talk some real football stuff. But yeah, thanks for coming on as always. And thank you once again for that ADP Google sheet that you gave me. I still use that thing. We're still putting out ADP. So awesome stuff. Yeah. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert 77. Of course, we're gearing up for the Scott Fish Bowl. If you're not in the Discord, get in the Discord. We literally do hundreds and hundreds of drafts, more drafts that I can even keep up with. My phone basically explodes during this time because I do a lot of the mock drafts. So you can imagine you got 30 or 40 sleeper drafts going on at the same time. Every time somebody talks in there, every time somebody drafts, you're getting alerts. So my phone is pretty much blowing up. But get in the Discord. If you go to my bio on Twitter, you can find that link there. I've tweeted it out a million times. Get in there. We can have a lot of fun for this Scott Fish Bowl. And that's it. For Ryan, for Seth, I'm Jeff. We will see y'all next week.